This is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with the Brightside Book Club, and I am so honored to have with us um, two acclaimed author and speakers. So we have Larry and Carol McGehe, and this book is priceless. I would like to encourage everyone to get a copy, and they are doing a two-part series. So this is the first one, and we hope that at the second book club, which is September the 5th, everyone would have a copy of the book so that they can follow along. And one of the purposes of book clubs is that people buy books, and we want you to all start a library if you can, if you don't have one already. I'm of this theory that the more books that you see, the more you'll be encouraged to read. And then you've met the authors, and so then it'll be even more exciting to talk about it at your next event, that you have a library of books that you've actually met authors. And so that could be a plus. So, one of the goals for us is to get you to read more. And so we hope that these fantastic authors are going to do just that. So over to you, Carol and Larry. Please introduce yourselves and tell us all about this wonderful book.
Thank you very much. I think you probably already guessed I'm Larry and that's Carol. But we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We're excited to share with you our new historical Christian novel called In Search of My Heart. In Search of My Heart is an ageless adventure of love overcoming loss and enduring faith, conquering doubt and unbelief. The story is about a young Jewish girl who is the daughter of a Jewish scribe, and this is in first century Israel. Miriam, the main character, has a tragedy in her young life. She winds up going to the wedding in Cana with her parents and encounters Jesus there. She later becomes one of the ladies that followed Jesus and the disciples as they tour around preaching and spreading the gospel.
Our book provides a story that has very a couple of very unexpected plot twists, but it provides more. Elizabeth often says this book is unusual in that it has a number of layers. We have a period of history that is extremely interesting. The Romans are occupying Israel. The Roman soldiers are stationed at each of even the smallest villages, wreaking havoc for the Hebrew people. In this book, we try to make sure that you are able to learn accurately about the people, the land, the culture, the governing powers, the politics, and all of this through in the emotions of the time through Miriam, who tells her story in the first person. So we have the honor tonight to having been invited to read an excerpt from our book. I want to lay out the scene a little bit for you so that it's kind of in the middle of the book. There are two main families represented just in the conversation that goes on. Miriam herself is as Larry said, the main character. She's a teenage girl, but as you may know from cultures of that time, teenagers had a lot of adult experiences and responsibilities. And so she behaves in an adult type way because she's of marrying age, all of it according to that culture. So the story is that the Jews would go into Jerusalem. Many families would visit Jerusalem during the various feast days. So this passage is one of those trips to Jerusalem. Some of the family is coming from the north, from Cana, down to Jerusalem. Others are coming from the south, Kerioth, where Miriam grew up. And the family structure is that Miriam is part of a family of 5 children. There's mama and papa, and the oldest son is Jude. Then came Miriam, Martha. Those three are kind of similar in age. And then there's a gap, and they're 2 young boys, Joshua and Benjamin. Martha has already married. Her family is Martha and John, and they have twins, Thomas and Sarah. The other main character in this scene is Isaac, who is a family friend who's come up from the region of Kerioth, and as you'll see, to deliver a message. So here we go. As we enter the fish gate of Jerusalem, I'm again amazed at the town can welcome so many people from so many places. I have this vision that if one more person dares to pass through the gate, the pressure against the inside walls will cause them to tumble all at once. I look back and see that the next person coming through is Joseph. Shall I hold my breath? As Joseph quickly moves of our family, he thanks us for his visit with us in Cana and our company on the journey to Jerusalem. He will meet his family near the portico of Solomon at the temple. Martha bumps into me. Miriam, what were we thinking bringing Thomas and Sarah into these crowds? Thomas, you must not wiggle so. I cannot let you get down. As little Sarah puts her arms tightly around my neck, I practically shout to Martha, even though she's walking beside me. How will we ever find our family in this crowd, Martha? Look, Sarah, see the huge temple? We all look up. Martha points, encouraging Thomas to look too. Martha looks gleeful. Think what a joyful celebration we'll have for the twins' first birthday with John's family and all of our family. Once we find everyone, we'll have plenty of helping hands to care for these precious ones. John looks around.
You two stand over there with the children while I go to find Jude. We arranged a meeting at the Pool of Solomon so that he could take us to the place where we're going to stay.
To our surprise, we quickly find Jude. Although he warmly welcomes us, his cheerful expression seems contrived. After all the greetings and shrieks from Thomas and Sarah, we notice that Samuel's uncle Isaac stands nearby, waiting for us. His look supports my suspicion about Jude's behavior. Why do I feel that something is terribly wrong, Jude?
Miriam, as you can see, people are crowding these streets. Let us escort all of you to the home of Joseph, where we can all talk easily.
I move alongside Samuel's uncle. Dear Isaac, how good to see you. But the absence of your typical big grin concerns me. Tell me, what news do you have?
My dear Miriam, Jude's idea makes sense. Let us go to the house. There we can talk.
My eagerness to see Papa, Mama, and the others, especially if something is wrong, overtakes my curiosity long enough to agree that we should move on and not push the men to tell us their news. Although life bustles around us, a strange silence surrounds our little group. Even the twins stop their squirming and excited giggling. They seem to understand that this is a time for quiet anticipation. Joseph kindly greets us at the door and quickly invites us in. He suggests that his daughters entertain Thomas and Sarah while we talk. Where's our family? Oh, of course, they must be settling in at one of the other houses. Martha looks around the room. First, we should let Papa and Mama know that we are here, Jude.
Miriam, Martha, Samuel's uncle Isaac brings news from Kerioth. He has been spending more time with them recently with Samuel's family. Allow him to tell you his news. Girls, I won't find this news difficult to tell you. I know how much you must desire to see your family, but your parents and younger brothers have not come to Jerusalem.
What? No one is here? Why? What has happened? Jude is pacing.
Still rushing ahead, goodness, Miriam. Please let Isaac explain without interrupting. He has already had to tell me the difficult news, and he will carefully explain everything to you if you just give him a chance.
Jude's tone is hurtful, but I can see he's upset. Please forgive me, Isaac, but please hurry.
Yes, Miriam, you are right. I must get down to the point. Miriam, Martha, your papa is gravely ill. He has not worked for several months. Your mama has had set aside her weaving and her services as a midwife because of the constant care required for your papa. Joshua and Benjamin have suspended their studies at the synagogue to work in the village and help in any way they can. Your mother's knowledge of the healing herbs has kept your papa alive, but none of us is at all certain if he will recover.
Martha and I stare at one another and then at Jude in stunned silence. As tears run down Martha's face and Jude goes to hold her, my thoughts race from why has this happened to what exactly did happen to what can we do to what will we ever do without our papa back to why? How can this be? What happened to make our papa ill, Isaac? He's always been so strong. Jude, you must take Martha and me home right away.
Try to calm yourself, Miriam. Isaac has instructions for what we are to do. Please continue, Isaac. Well, first, we are not exactly sure what happened except that your papa collapsed on the way home from the synagogue one evening. He appeared completely exhausted, and the heat was unbearable that day.
My mind is racing. The last time we were together, Mama told me he had been poring over the writings of the prophets, almost without stopping to eat. He had become passionate about discovering whether the writings pointed to Jesus as the Messiah. Oh, no, I am the one who insisted that he search the Holy Scriptures. Will Papa die because of me? Isaac puts his hand on my shoulder.
Miriam, stop talking such nonsense. You all know your papa. He approaches everything he does with vigor. None of us can match that. You may have suggested that he investigated the writings, but with his drive, he would not stop until he found the answer. Maybe the answers he found and the message he sent with me will convince you that neither you, your papa, nor your mama wants you to come home because of his illness.
Wait, the answer he found?
Yes, Miriam, I have learned from Jude today that you left Jesus' group several months ago, but your papa does not know that. At times, your papa has gained enough strength to talk to me about his search in the scriptures. Your papa has now no doubt that all the writings of the prophet point directly to Jesus as the Messiah.
He does? Now what am I to think? Jude, does this surprise you?
Yes, I suppose it does. I've always wanted to believe that Jesus came here to free us from the Romans. I still believe he may. Some zealots, however, certainly they just don't know if he's the deliverer, but others are unsure. I'd be difficult time doubting Papa's findings. I do not want to think this way, but I may have given him his life in finding the truth.
Hmm. Martha's expression towards Jude is sympathetic. No, you must not talk this way, Jude. I wish I could assist Mama with the herbs and take more to her. I've learned so many new remedies since living in Cana, but the twins are not yet weaned, and their energy would be more than Papa and Mama could bear right now.
Each of you must understand that your Papa and Mama anticipated that you would want to rush to carry off to be with them, and both strongly urged me to convince you that you are not to go. Your Mama, may God bring her blessings, warned me that this would be the most challenging part of the message to deliver to you, and I can see she knew well how you would act. Miriam, your papa used all the strength that night before I came here to tell me exactly what he wanted you to know. You must listen very carefully.
My emotions are so mixed. I fear for my Papa's life. I have just learned that Papa believes Jesus is the Messiah. I want to rush home, but both Papa and Mama say no. I will listen, Isaac. Please tell me my Papa's words.
He told me that he had never been sure that his decision to allow you to travel with Jesus had been wise. Your papa struggled and prayed over that decision, not only before he allowed you to go, but also every day until the day he collapsed. Many in our village ridiculed him. Only a few could understand his point of view, but he knew that your heart had led you to Jesus. He could see you in a belief that he did not have, but one that he envied. Your papa had to know with absolute certainty that he had sent you to be with the promised Messiah and that he would not rest until he knew for sure. Your papa told me to tell you but the decision to let you go to the greatest decision of his lifetime. He has often spoken with pride about your service to Jesus, and it would be most troubling to hear that you were right about Jesus, that you had the heart and your heart did not deceive you. He told her to remind you that you are a shining light that touches your papa's soul.
I feel the tears streaming down my cheeks. My heart aches inside with a hurt that expresses the pain of knowing my papa may soon die, but also with a warmth of connection unlike I've ever felt with my papa. I still have to face my own doubts about Jesus, but I do not doubt my papa's undying love for me. Oh God, let my papa live.
All of you must hear the last words your papa spoke to me. He said, Isaac, I have lived a blessed life. Let my children know that if I die, I will die with a smile of contentment, knowing that I spent time in the presence of the long-awaited Messiah. Then he closed his eyes and drifted into a restful sleep.
Martha and I immediately embrace. As Jude approaches us, he wipes tears from his eyes. I see John go over to Isaac, a friend who has been a brave and worthy messenger.
That passage is a perfect example of one that may lead a reader to want to dig a little deeper. For example, in the back of our book, we provide maps which include a map of the Temple Mount showing the locations of the scenes from this passage. We also have 135 footnotes that provide greater insight into the writings. For example, from this passage, we have a note about the location and the significance of the fish gate.
We had originally thought that this book would appeal more to Christian women than any other audience, and yet we have learned that women of all faiths are reading the book. We also have gotten actually some of our best reviews from men. The the thing that was for me exciting because I taught middle school and high school and university level. The thing that was exciting for me is learning that homeschool parents are using the book with their teenagers. Well, in fact, one family that I happen to know well used it with their 11-year-old daughter and 14-year-old son. And both the kids were real excited about it and came up to me and told me how much they enjoyed it. So that that was really encouraging for me. Our book has been being used in Bible studies, book clubs. We have a discussion question guide that we provide as a free PDF on our website. And so that guide has allowed people to take the writings, and we have in the guide a little direction about how you might organize a book club or a Bible study to use the book. We have actually in the group tonight two of the ladies who have been a part of two different book clubs, Bible studies that we've been doing. I currently am conducting a Bible study, and Barb Davis is a part of that study. And I'm going to ask her to say a few words and give you some of her feedback.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Barbara. I live in Ponce Inlet, Florida, very near the McGehes who live in the shores. And I am part of we have a book club at where there's 15 of us, but with summer vacations, there's usually 7 to 10 of us. I proofed the book originally because I taught legal writing and research at FSU College of Law. So I proofed it like I was correcting a paper, and I really had not read it like I did when we went chapter by chapter and used the study notes. So once we kind of started drilling down into the different the different kind of layers that were in here, because we have the story and the family, and then we have the history. which is very timely. It's very accurate to the lifetime of Jesus. It also talks about the intertestamental period, which most of us don't know about, the time between the Old Testament and the New Testament. So I did a lot of extracurricular reading and research on a lot of the issues, because as we would go through, these are actual places. And you understand that the McGehes have been in Israel, so they can describe these places. And Larry had done a whole lot of research and actually gave me one of these books on daily life at the time of Jesus. So it is all very accurate to the time, the history, the way of life. It's absolutely fascinating to be able to look at this through Miriam's eyes. And Miriam is the young girl. She starts out and she's younger, and it goes through about 6-7 years of her life as she progresses and begins to travel with Jesus, and all the different people in her family and accepting her choices. So when you do this as a group, it's interesting how everybody sees something different. Everybody, and so you get the benefit of everybody's insight. And as we go kind of through the questions, it's not just factual, because I like the factual. I love the history and the maps in the back. That Larry actually drew these maps, so they're very specific to places. And these events really happened in these places that are in the book and that are described. So although it's a fictional family, it is historically very correct. And then one of the more fascinating parts of this is in the back, there's a list of characters by family and alphabetically. And so it will tell you who was an actual character in the Bible. So as you go through this and you read these stories, they are real stories. And some of the characters that are added into the book are real characters, and some are not. So it is really fascinating. And the way the story interweaves all the time, because you have one character that's starting to develop within the family, and then later on you see how that has developed in the whole. And it takes us through a period of time that is very significant historically, and to have the amount of detail that is in here, it was just a wonderful experience. I loved it the first time. I loved it more when we got to dissect it in the group and really kind of go deeper. And one of our ladies is like a behavior sociologist. So she has this insight into all the emotions that people are going through. And then I'm over here with the nuts and bolts of the location and the history and what was going on during that period. And then over here we have so it is fascinating to do it with a group of people and see what each person is taking from the book. And in the meantime, you're learning so much about the history, the Jewish culture. And I would not rule out a Jewish community reading this book, because it is so focused on Jewish culture. So any other questions? That was just kind of my feelings about this.
Just one thing I would add is that one thing we try to do with developing the questions is to have the reader, yes, delve into the first century Israel, but then bring those issues into our modern day. And so a lot of the questions are very personally applicable, and how one thinks about things today in relation to how the characters are thinking about them in that time. So thank you, Barb. We really appreciate your being here. And Larry, do you have something? No. Okay. Secondly, we have Odile Perez, and Odile is actually one of the young people that we have mentored for a number of years. And we have about 12 young people that we mentor on a regular basis. And we are thrilled to have Odile with us here tonight. She can tell you a little bit about the book club that she did. You're on mute, Odile.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day. And for me, it was beautiful opportunity to read this book. We read it as part of a small group that we've been doing, Intentional Women. It's a book club that we started back in 2020. And this was the first opportunity that we had to include a book that the authors could be involved in the process. So that was a very beautiful perspective because as we started reading the book, we have women from all around the US in different parts of the country and in different walks in their journey, in their spiritual walk. And as we read the book, we everyone was so excited about the book. We have a little group chat, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened! I can't believe this happened! I can't believe this happened!" And the anticipation kept everyone engaged in the book. And what I love about the book is that, as Miss Barbara was saying, it infuses history with relevancy of the cultural relevancy, but at the same time, it's intriguing. The way they embed every single element of the story, it keeps you like what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? And then it invites you to look inward in your own heart. So a lot of women were saying like, this is touching me in a very profound way. I can see Miriam's story and I can see the relevancy of her journey with my own journey. So it's not only engaging and not only is it educational, but it's also an invitation to grow in your spiritual walk as well. So we had women who were older, younger, and everyone was so excited to read it. And by the end of it, they wanted to know more. And Carol and Larry participated two times in our group, and they were able to give them more insight and give more and highlight what was happening in the story. So that was very valuable, and the participants really loved it. So it's a book that will have you wanting more, and if you are a spiritual person, it's going to invite you and inspire you to know the Bible at a deeper level. And as Barbara said, they've done a great job of providing the footnotes, the educational piece, so that it can be something that expands what you already know, or for someone who doesn't know anything about the Bible, so they know a little bit more. So it's a great balance. So honestly, I really love the book. The ladies all were like, this is the best book we've read, and we've read over 20 books in our group club. So that just shares what a great job they've done. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And Larry and Kara are amazing as my mentors. I'm so proud of them for for God's timing, because of The Chosen, the book. If you guys have seen The Chosen, the book comes to life. Like it's like amazing because it feels like you're in The Chosen, but from a woman's perspective. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Odile. We very much appreciate your being with us. You and Barb are just the greatest. I did want to mention, based on following up on what Odile said, we are happy to join any book club or any book group that's using the book to answer questions, to tell them how we were inspired to write the book, anything that they might be interested in. We're happy to jump in on Zoom or FaceTime or locally if it's within a reasonable distance.
I'm very proud to tell you that we on Amazon we have all 5-star ratings in our reviews, and excuse me. And one other comment that I'm almost forgetting what I was going to say. Oh, one of, I think, the greatest comments we had was from several people was that this book reminds them of The Chosen, and they could see it as a screenplay or a feature length movie, and we took that in as very, very high compliments. Well, we will be back. We will follow it up with you with another meeting with you on September the 5th. We hope that you'll be able to have a time to read the book by then, In Search of My Heart. And if you have any questions that come up or insights you want to share at that time, we invite you to visit our website, McGeheBooks.com. It's spelled funny. It's MCGEHE
They can see it.
books.com. And on our website, you can order it through Amazon or other retailers. The book is available in paperback and ebook, and this fall it will be available in Audibles. As you will see in our website, it includes a lot of our personal stories as well as the stories related to the inspiration and the writing of our book. At this time, we would love to be able to answer any questions you might have about the book or about us.
If there are
I
no
do
questions.
you mentioned about going to Israel. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about those travels, either the genesis of this whole entire story? What brought you on that type of pilgrimage? I mean, it's a common place for people to go as Christians, but what made you want to go further than just going to visit a wonderful place?
In actuality, the concept of the book came almost 20 years ago. And it's quite a lengthy story, and it's actually a story that we will probably tell on the 5th when we come back. After we've talked about some of the insights and so on, we can give you a sense of how that all came to be and why it was a 20-year journey. It didn't take 20 years to write, but it was all about timing and
God's timing.
God's timing, as it turns out. Yes. And so having had that in our thoughts and in the writing and so on our minds for 20 years, we found an opportunity to visit Israel. Oddly enough, we were in Israel in March 2020 when COVID broke out across the world. So we went with a group called Insight for Living. And it was a wonderful experience. And I think the thing that I appreciated about it the most, especially as you look at the book, is that we went literally from the Syrian border, so it's about as north as you can go in Israel, all through Galilee, all through the Sea of Galilee area, Nazareth, and so on, through Jerusalem, very strong tour of Jerusalem, and then all the way south into the Judean desert to where Masada took place and so on. So we really covered the whole territory. And when you sit on a manuscript for 20 years, you realize that it needs to be rewritten. and so as we had taken that trip then and had some time to really soak in the land of Israel, then during the rewrite period, which was a good solid 3 months of revisions and rewrites and edits and people reading the book and coming. We had literally 10 or 12 people, including Barb, read the book and tell us all of the different things from their perspectives that were confusing or that could be more accurately described or adequately described. So through that entire process, we spent about 4 months doing all of the revision. And that's when all the description and heart really came into the manuscript. And that's when Israel had such a positive influence in the writing.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Elizabeth, I think it's back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And everyone who's watching, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or in any of our VIP book clubs on all the different online and social media channels, we want you to buy the book. We want you to show a big turnout and we want you to get the book and be back with us on September 5th for the second part to the book. As I said to Carol, it is a big, enormous book, so you can't do this in one sitting. We need to have two sittings. So we will return with the book club and more authors and more stories as we discover for you. So make sure you subscribe, you hit the bell button, discoverbrightside.com. And if you want to get their book, it's McGeebooks.com. So stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up. Today is the book club, and I have an exciting playwright. I have a 19-year-old author, and I have an academic and a host of tarot reading, and I've got lots of excitement coming up. So stay tuned to watch the next video. Thank you for watching.